First, I would like to discuss my summer sabbatical briefly. I've gotten a lot of questions about it. I will not have regular office hours this summer, beginning next week, but I will still be spending the majority of my summer in Albuquerque, and I have 2 more sermons scheduled, one in August and one in September. And when I began my internship last September, we started working on a covenant, a learning and service agreement, and that was written by cooperation between me, the senior pastor, and my intern committee. I have an intern committee of 5 members of the congregation who try diligently to help me. That agreement is also reviewed by my seminary and by the Unitarian Universalist Association. My classes for seminary include a fall and a semester for each year, and those classes coincide with my work here with the congregation. I have a summer class, but it does not directly relate to my internship. Because of the way my classes are arranged, we discussed when we put together that covenant whether or not I would have a sabbatical in the summer. But because of this wonderful congregation, I got so involved with everything there is to do that it snuck up on me, and I forgot that I'm supposed to be on a sabbatical in the summer. So that's why we got some late information out in the messenger. As I said, I will be on campus on and off, and I am very grateful for the time that I spend with this congregation, and I will certainly miss that interaction during the summer, but I will be around and I will be back in September. So, thank you. This month's topic is transcendence. And I may have heard something a little different than some in that, but I'm going to try to get to what I heard in that. When I heard the word transcendence, I thought of the process of surpassing something, moving beyond something. And I have spoken before about some of my personal challenges. So when I think of transcendence in human challenges, or in human terms, I think of going beyond or surpassing the challenges associated with the human condition. And when I refer to the human condition, I am referring to those things common to those of us beings who fall into the human category. These things include the human condition, which results from physical, social, psychological, spiritual, and emotional aspects of our existence as humans. When we speak of transcending, surpassing, or moving beyond something, we are usually referring to struggles, hurdles, or challenges. Often physical, social, psychological, spiritual, and emotional upsets. So we're talking about physical, social, psychological, spiritual, and emotional upsets that fall into the category of struggles, hurdles, and challenges. It would seem to follow, in my line of reasoning, that healing from these physical, social, psychological, spiritual, and emotional upsets can be seen as transcending them. And in these cases, healing is a form of transcending. Unitarian Universalism often serves as a refuge for those injured from previous religious experiences. Many people come to Unitarian Universalism seeking healing of the wounds from their past experiences with religion. I recently had an experience with a resident in the facility where I did my CPE, my clinical pastoral education, or it's kind of like a chaplaincy internship. There was a person who first came to the chapel in the residence hall for a global religious group that I was leading. So it was a group that was in just experiencing some of the parts of different global religions, to get knowledge of religions other than the ones we're used to here. Every time he came, he initiated a conversation about the destructiveness of organized religion. He seemed to want to initiate an argument about the uselessness and even harmfulness of all organized religion. Of course, as a Unitarian Universalist seminary student, I maintained that not all religions are the same, and of course, I held up that my faith is different from the others, and I talked to him about all the positive ways I thought my faith is different. The resident began signing up for most of the groups I led and began requesting appointments to speak with me individually. I remembered some of the religious faith visitors to my door who have done this before, where they want to continue speaking with me after I began a conversation about Unitarian Universalism. Our initial conversations began with him energetically criticizing organized religion and clearly watching me for a reaction to his condemnations. In later visits, I noticed that he decreased his condemnation of religion in general and began interrogating me about Unitarian Universalism specifically. Then one day, to my great surprise, he softened his tone and suddenly shared with me some stories of his history with organized religion. He told me about the emotional abuse he had suffered during his involvement with the religious community of his childhood. Our next meeting began with his immediate revelation that he had grown up wanting to be a priest, but had been convinced by others and eventually convinced himself that he was unworthy of doing so because he was gay. The topics of our subsequent meetings changed drastically. During every subsequent meeting, we discussed the research he was doing on Unitarian Universalism, on liberal theology, and on ministry and spirituality. My internship ended, and I do not know to this day how that man's search proceeded, but I do know that I witnessed his transformation from disdain for religion in general to a search for truth and meaning. Certainly, many of us would attest to Unitarian Universalism being a healing faith in the sense of serving as a refuge for those injured by previous religious experiences. But what about Unitarian Universalism as a support for healing in the more broadly accepted senses or definition of the word healing? Can Unitarian Universalism also serve as a refuge of healing from the wounds associated with the struggles inherent in the human condition? Does Unitarian Universalism support the type of resilience needed for this type of healing? In many faiths, the term faith healing usually refers to actions that have an effect on healing. We have heard claims of healing brought about by religious faith through prayer and or rituals, and the rituals are believed to summon divine intervention for healing. These types of healing have spiritual effects and methods. These types of healing attribute healing power to a variety of techniques such as prayer, divine intervention, a visit to a religious shrine, or a strong belief in a supreme being. Also, various fields in the sciences address healing: physical healing, emotional healing, and mental healing. In these fields, healing is often associated with resilience. Healing is often associated with resilience. And resilience is further associated with components or parts needed to develop the type of resilience that promotes healing. These parts almost always include support and connection, self-acceptance, contribution and participation, courage and confidence, and a sense of meaning and purpose. Unitarian Universalism is not known as a faith that emphasizes prayer, divine intervention, a visit to a religious shrine, or a strong belief in a supreme being. But the faiths that do emphasize these methods also acknowledge the components associated with resilience. Is there healing power in our Unitarian Universalist faith and community? Does this healing power include support for development of the type of resilience needed to support healing? I believe that this congregation is important and the work we do here is important for healing ourselves and others. I believe that Unitarian Universalism is a faith that does the work of healing, including support for development of the type of resilience needed to support healing. When we are hurt from all the things that can cause us pain, there is healing power in our faith and in our faith community. Compassion is needed for helping with healing, and the principles of Unitarian Universalism guide us to compassionate treatment of ourselves, of others, and of our world. Our belief that we should accept one another and keep learning together helps us in healing ourselves and in helping others to heal through the sense of support and connection required for resilience. Our belief that each and every person is important helps in healing through the feelings of self-acceptance, courage, and confidence required for resilience. Our belief that all people should be treated fairly and kindly helps in healing through the experiences of support and connection required for resilience. Our belief in working for a peaceful, fair, and free world helps us in healing through the sense of meaning and purpose that we require for the resilience needed for healing. Our belief that each person must be free to search for what is true and right in life helps in healing through the sense of support and connection required for resilience, that resilience that is required for healing. Our belief that all persons should have a vote about the things that concern them helps in healing through the acts of contribution and participation. Contribution and participation required for developing the type of resilience that allows us to heal. Our beliefs help us in healing ourselves and in helping others to heal. I believe that we as Unitarian Universalists engage in the important work of faith healing, including support for development of the type of resilience needed to accomplish healing. the type of resilience made possible by supportive connections with others, self-acceptance, contribution and participation in something larger than ourselves, and in a sense of meaning. I have no doubt that this congregation is important and that the work we do here is important to ourselves and others. I am now maintaining that Unitarian Universalism is a faith that does the work of healing. I honestly believe that as a Unitarian Universalist, I gain the benefit of faith healing. I find that even with my internship here, there has been a type of healing, in that it has helped me to get used to speaking about my thoughts, opinions, and experiences, and that has been in the past a source of anxiety for me. I spent my previous career in situations where I was often the only woman, the only person of color, and the only openly gay person. And because of that, my thoughts, opinions, and experiences were often minimized, so I learned to hesitate to share them. That hesitation provided considerable anxiety with respect to speaking up at all. I am healing from this condition. As humans, we often feel alone with our pain, but we have company here. In this faith community, we have company. We have support for healing from so many types and levels of wounds, including loneliness, anxiety, abuse, addiction, violence, shame. What I am maintaining today is that we are a faith of healing, and that if we permit that way of looking at our faith, which we often do not, that we can recognize our faith as one that engages in that phrase that we do not often use, faith healing.